Applicants can be added in from the applicant dashboard, grid and the drop-down, from a property record, from an appointment, from the tenancies process and also from a maintenance job. So loads of different ways of adding applicants into the system, and once again, regardless of where you start, you will always be directed to the Add Applicant Wizard. So clicking in to add a new applicant from the applicant drop-down will take us through to the Applicant Wizard. Now the first page of the Applicant Wizard is the same as the first page on a Sales Applicant Wizard as well. So we're just going to start typing in our applicant information. Salutation field is really important for emails and letters, so do make sure that that is set properly. We can also add a second applicant at this point, but if we do add a second applicant, you will not be able to split the rent out between these two on the tenancies later on. If you wanted to be able to do that, you need to add in a second individual applicant and assign them to the same tenancy. Otherwise, these two applicants will be on the same applicant record. Email address for the applicant, mobile number, mobile description, home and work phone. The address then is just a case of doing a postcode lookup for the applicant record and selecting from the drop down which one you wish to use or which is their current property. Over on the right hand side here we have got our contact preferences. So we added in an email address. We've got the option to send them emails, the welcome email and the weekly email. We added in a mobile number. We've got the option to send them text messages, and we added in a postal address. We've got the option to send them post. Now we can click next down at the bottom or the requirements tab along the top, which will take us to the second tab where we make the first change, making sure that we are adding this applicant into the correct department. And obviously on this training session, the department is the residential lettings. Maximum price there is $8.50. Now, as discussed, what that will mean is that any rental frequency that you need to add in will be pulled through from the property. So this applicant is looking for properties of 850. It picks up the rental frequency from the property record, and we are advertising our properties per month, so the system is going to assume that I mean that this applicant is looking for properties of 850 per month. Match from is 20% below 850 and match to is 10% above 850. Our due off date field here is October the 5th. Okay, so what that means is that if I don't speak to this applicant by October the 5th, they will go onto a quick link called due off today. And that will mean that I hadn't spoken to them for a set amount of days, and we might want to speak to them now. There is also another date field on a property on an applicant record called the next contact due, which will be a week after each time you do the last contact. So each time you tell the system that you've spoken to this applicant, it will add another week onto the next contact and another 30 days onto due off. Minimum bedrooms I'm going to say is 2, and maximum, if I click into it, I do not leave it at 0, put it above 2. Now that may seem pretty obvious, but if you click into it, it activates that list and the system will then look at it. And if you leave it at 0, if you click into it, even by accident, the system's going to think you mean 2 to 0, and it's not going to know what you mean. So 2, and make sure that the maximum bedrooms is either left but not touched, or if it is touched, then make sure that it is above the minimum bedrooms. Now the required between it date field is when they have moved or when they can move out of their current property, and the required to date field is when they can move in or when they absolutely have to be in their next property. That is not how long they want the property that they're looking for, how long they want to be in there. It's when they can move out of their current and when they absolutely have to be in their new. Additional requirements in the middle, we've got type, style, ages, and then the essentials 2. Now the essentials 2 are the essentials for lettings, and once again you may have got the essentials 1 set on lettings if you mainly do lettings or as lettings only. Now I ticked quite a few on the property record when we added that in, so I'm going to tick very few on the applicant record because they actually do not have any essentials. This applicant doesn't have anything that they feel is essential for a property. We've then got the locations as well, which are set as default. Now over on the right hand side here we've got the option to add a previous landlord in. Now this I would only fill in at this point if the applicant had seen a property and we were adding this applicant in at the tenancy process, at the point that they've come back in or got in touch saying that they want to go for that property. If they've just registering with you because they're interested in looking at a property, you probably would not be filling this in at this point. If you do, it will pull through onto the property record, onto the references tab, which I'll show you in a second. If you don't fill it in at this point, you can fill it in on the references tab on the applicant record in just a minute. Next, down at the bottom, or the status notes along the top, and we can then start adding in our applicant status prompts. Now these are configurable per department and you get up to 5 per department to help ask the questions that are applicable to you as a company to help qualify your applicants when you're registering. Now these are just examples. We've got the current position, working status, pets, term required, and then the standard questions that all of you will have of inquiry source and inquiry method. Any notes here regarding the applicant? I've put that they've got other in pets, so I'm just going to put in here has a small fish tank, and then also put would prefer some outside space, but it's not essential. Moving on to the final tab there by clicking next or using the tab up at the top, which is own house. Now, a lot of agents for lettings do not fill this in, and that's absolutely fine. You do not have to. The only reason you may fill this in for lettings is if they are currently in a sales property and are looking to go into rental. In which case, if they've got their property on the market with somebody else, you can note down when the agreement with that other agent expires and have that flagging up on quick links for you. Otherwise, for lettings, you generally wouldn't be using this field, and that's absolutely fine. So we can just press the save button to create our applicant record. Now we added in an email address, we ticked the applicant to receive emails and the welcome email, so the welcome email has popped up open in front of us. We can change the text of the welcome email for this particular applicant. We can close it down if we don't want to send it, or if down at the bottom we do, we can press the send icon. That sent the applicant welcome email and created our applicant record for us.